Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Head On with Michael. Head On with Michael. We have over 6,000 subscribers. We have over 400,000 views. And we want to welcome you in today. Today, we're going to be talking about your body, how to understand your body. And we're going to be honing in on one thing in specific is yoga. But before we start here, we want to ask you to please subscribe to my channel and make sure you press that bell. And also uh, follow me on TikTok, Head On with Michael. And we're just so excited here. We're going to be bringing in Het-Heru. And if you don't know who she is right now, she is the one who makes these incredible sacred oils. And if you want to go to her website, we're going to have it down in the chat here, and just go out and check out her essential oils. And we're going to be talking about this sample pack that has all of hers. We can get a sample of all of her essential oils that will give you the highlight of how they'll give you that sample of how it can actually change your life. I've been using her essential oils for over 15 years, and I'm going to be using it for hopefully a whole lot more years. So, with that said, let's give a big welcome to the lady of the day, Het-Heru. How you doing?
I'm well, Michael. Hi, everybody. How
Hey,
you
well,
doing?
I'm doing really good, really good. I've been stuck on the prosperity essential oil. That I get in my moods on all her different oils. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to really push this sample pack. Now we're going to be going live on TikTok. We'll be giving out some free samples because once you try one of them, you're going to want all of them. So, with that said, we're going to be talking about yoga, right?
Right, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I do a little yoga. It's definitely the hardest on all my workouts and peanut eggs. It literally kills me, Pilates and all this.
hmm
But I'm a firm believer in it. And so, you've been practicing it for a long time. And I know that you go out dancing. Does is that the play? Do you credit yoga with your youth and longevity here? Let's just let you talk about yoga, and you take it from there, ma'am.
Okey-dokey. Well, as Michael's pointed out, I've been at this a long time. I started when I was 19, and so it's been a lot of years, and it was in 1969. But I never thought I wasn't a person that had ills like a lot of people, and they get into yoga because it helps them with challenges with their back or whatever. For me, I the year before I got into yoga, I went to my mother's funeral. I saw her body, and I realized that what I had known as my mother all those years was not who was lying in that casket. And it just triggered a thought that I was so impassioned with, and that's not who we are, then who are we? And that the next year, someone came to me and introduced this thing called yoga, and the whole time this person is sharing the experience that he has had with it. There was something that was familiar, was some it just resonated very well with me. This is Indianapolis, Indiana, 1970, I guess by now. No, 1969. So anyway, to make that cut that short story a little shorter, um, I got into it and became impassioned with it. I would come home from my work. I would to yoga postures because with most people who were introduced to this idea of yoga, it's about the postures. I would do yoga postures for a couple of hours a night. I even can recall while standing on my head, what I thought I actually fell asleep for a short period of time. I was gone. And when I came back, I realized, wow, and I'm still standing on my head. So it was just a combination of experiences, that just got me deeper and deeper and deeper into this. And most importantly, I found a book written by my yoga teacher, Indra Devi, who became my yoga teacher, called Yoga for Americans. And I was so impassioned with this path. I was so that I wrote to her And I said, I found my life path. And she wrote back, Miss First Lady of Yoga, wrote back to me and told me how fortunate I was to have gotten into this thing called yoga at such a young age, and that she had a school, and perhaps it was in Baja California, perhaps sometime I could come. So one thing led after another. As I said, I was young, I'm only 19. Before my yoga experience, I was a dancer. I've danced most of my life. So going into yoga was very similar to what I had been doing with dance. Um, as I said, I wasn't someone that had physical issues per se. Actually, none, because I was used to using my body. I've been somewhat of an athlete as well. But yoga gave me something. It gave me a discipline. All right, so eventually, one thing led to another. And through this path called yoga, I became aware of my spiritual dimension. Now, I want you to understand something. It is, people are misinformed when they think yoga is a religion. It is not a religion. When I'm asked what religion do I follow, I explain that I am more of a universalist. Anytime I hear truth, whether it comes from the language of the folks in the Asian continent, or from folks that come from whatever part of the world, Hinduism or Buddhism or Christianity, if I hear truth and it's something that I can embrace and apply it in my life, then that is what I follow. But yoga itself is not Hinduism, it's not Buddhism. So that's something that folks need to understand about it. Also, yoga itself is not getting on the floor and stretching. That's only one a small part of this whole world of yoga. Now, when you hear yoga or any of the teachings from that, generally they're rooted in the Indian culture. And so therefore they're using the language of that time, Sanskrit. But before this language and even this culture, this civilization, there was a civilization that existed called Kemet. It was the original name of what became Egypt. And the people of that time um, became very much aware of a philosophy, a life practice that could be utilized that would help to bring about peace and harmony in their civilization. And it was called Adi Ankha, breath is the life of the soul. Anyone who is a serious student of yoga, whether it's the yoga that includes the 8-step path called Hatha Yoga, whether it's Bhakti Yoga, which is the path of devotional love, whether it's Mantra Yoga, understanding the power of the word. There's just several branches. But anyone who is a serious student of especially Hatha Yoga postures, you must be doing the deep breathing, because as the ancestors before the yogis understood, breath is the life of the soul. So through a long uh, path of study and experience and teaching, one of the day I finally figured out, I finally understood that yoga itself, first of all, there's several definitions of the word yoga. The most popular one is union. But the most accurate one, as my teacher taught, is yoke. Sorry, yoke. Now think of what a yoke is. You have oxen, you have the cart, you have what yokes the cart to the oxen, the animals that move the cart, and then you have the driver. And that is what yoga itself is about, is that you are the one that is in the driving seat of your life. You're not reaching out every day listening to what someone else is telling you about what your experience in life is to be. You take that time and you get to know the truth, excuse me, of who and whose you really are. You do this through the power of meditation. Hatha yoga, that was the path that I followed when I first started this, has 8 steps. The first 2 steps are the 10 codes of morality,
But
yamas and niyamas.
before
Yes.
before we before we go into the 8 steps, I
Mhm.
want
Okay.
to, first of all, anyone who, before you get into an exercise program of any kind, make sure you consult your physician to make sure that you're in the right health. And before you start any type of exercise program. Okay. Now, you lost me at standing on your head. Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
I am pretty sure most of the people who are going to be in this audience are not used to standing on their head. Now, number one, what's the name of that position? And number two, let's get a little bit of beginning on how to start. Now, someone like me who's a layman, I have yoga poses. I do yoga poses. I'm not saying I'm a yogi, but in P90X, Tony Horton says that yoga Pilates is absolutely an essential part, but they're very difficult. So now somebody who is this part of the 8 steps to approaching someone who wants to take the challenge, because yoga is an absolute challenge. It is, as much as hard as that workout is that I do, the yoga is literally, it's the most rewarding. Okay. I will say that because it makes the rest of the workouts easier. Okay. So take me to the beginning on how someone, okay, so you started at 19, which means you were probably not just standing on your head, you were probably spinning on your head. Okay. You have that
not
kind of,
not in those years. We didn't
okay.
spend yeah. Well,
Okay.
okay. This is
All right.
what I want you to understand. All right. And this is where people are misinformed, where they miss the true understanding of yoga. Yoga is not just about doing yoga postures. But there are something like 240,000 yoga postures. I asked myself one time, who counted those? Who said number one is this? Number two, number three, the headstand. The Sanskrit name is called Asana, the headstand. How is that? How were they able to count all of this? And then I realized it wasn't something like an overnight revelation. It was something through years of practice. That it wasn't about the actual physicality of it. It is what your stance is, because what is your posture? That's what the Sanskrit word asana, English translation is posture. What is your posture in life? Is your posture full of hope, full of faith, full of unconditional love, full of joy? Or is it fear? You have plenty of images given to you at this time to live in fear. And last week we were talking about how the power of living in faith. You have choice. Sometimes it behooves you just to turn things off and get quiet and listen. Hatha yoga has 8 steps. The first two of the 8 steps are called yamas and niyamas. That's the codes of morality. What are they trying to tell us? They're saying that before you even do yoga postures. Codes of morality. It is you coming into alignment with the truth of your being, the essence of who you are, not from a religious understanding. And I'm not putting religion down, I'm talking about the real yoga and understanding again that the word yoga means yoke. It's you coming into your 10 codes of morality. You're living a moral life. Then the third step is asana, postures. Why? Michael's saying he found yoga asanas a difficult thing to do. Why is that? Because it's basically we're pulling ourselves inward instead of pushing ourselves outward. And sometimes folks are not real comfortable with that because we live in a world that's constantly moving, moving, moving. With yoga, you get quiet and you move from a quiet space, from a centered space. And you're incorporating the breathing, which is the fourth step. Adi Ankha, breath, is the life of the soul. Your soul is enveloped in breath. Adi Ankha. And so each yoga posture or asana or each posture in life is done with the accompaniment of the breathing. Look how often people say when people are full of anxiety or they're anxious about something or excited about something, Be calm. Take a deep breath and let it go. Breath is the life of the soul. The next step, yes.
Okay, just in
Mhm.
reforming this. All right, so I've I'm trying to bring it into English terms. Okay, to
Okay.
break it down. Okay,
I-
so it's just like in breath.
mhm,
Okay, so breath is everything. Now that I understand about it. Okay, and so like the one position where you hold your arm all the way up and all the
mhm,
way down, and you just look at the eye of your elbow and just hold that the breathing now. And I want to say that it's also about the breathing, and it's about being in the moment, and it's about balance. So if you're looking for balance in your life, the one thing that I've gotten out of it, just as in the limited as one being involved in a limited fashion, but the main thing is breath and balance and centeredness. That's what I've gotten out of that. So
yeah.
I don't you know the positions. I'm just trying to give my audience just a kind of an English version, okay? Because
Mhm,
most of you have never probably heard that Comet was the name of Egypt.
mhm,
Everyone's always known, oh, Egypt. No,
right.
that's not its name. So, we're trying to take a neutral standpoint here. We're not trying to be in some type of religion here. This is about the self. I can say be an adult of your spirit, an adult of your mind, adult of your thought, adult of your actions. These all they mean similar things. So, just with that said, this is what I've gotten out of it. So you go ahead and continue on with the step.
Mhm. Well, the next step is what they call pratyahara, or nerve control, simply meaning that you're learning to focus your thought. Folks who try to meditate and they say, "Oh, I can't do it." It behooves you to learn how to do it. All it simply is learning how to quiet your mind. The mind. Whenever someone says to me, "Well, what you begin with emptying the mind." Good luck with that one. Attempting to empty your mind is the same as attempting to take the wet out of water. Water is wet. The mind is mental. It moves, but you learn to quiet it, and in the process, you learn to control it. You instead of and it. I was thinking what flashed in my mind is when I first started and how my mind was just all over everywhere. But there is a practice called Tratek, which is a simple thing to do. And if you give yourself a little bit of that every day, you're going to find a big difference in your life. It's taking a candle. Today we even have flameless candles, but you take the candle, you focus your attention on the flame, you close your eyes and see if you can still hold it. If it goes away, open your eyes and focus on the candle again. You do that until it gets to the point, and it's not all going to happen in one day. When it gets to the point where you're able to hold it longer, or someone who's an experienced meditator, I just close my eyes and I see it. It's a process, but it's worth it because it's going to help you to remove your energy from the world's stuff. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful because today's world is very difficult. I'm grateful that I learned these disciplines so early in life, that I had life experiences where I was forced to learn these disciplines so that I can share it with you today. That you can use what our ancestors learned and forward it and passed it down to be used in today's world. Because I think each time I'm speaking with you, I tell you that in the esoteric sciences, not religion, esoteric sciences, astrology, tarot, whatever, we know that the planet, everything is life, everything is energy, and that the planet itself is in the process of becoming sacred. Not overnight, but it's in a process. And so, consequently, in the process, it's uprooting that which is no longer appropriate, no longer fits in the evolvement of the planet. So if you don't have a certain understanding, and if you don't use certain disciplines, it's going to scare the hell out of you. It is very frightening for folks.
So to simplify it, and let me explain it in a concept from where I come from. It's, ladies and gentlemen, there's a center part in your brain here. Okay, you can call it the neutral. Some call it the pineal gland, which is what it is, kind of. And if you look at your brain as a house, and you walk in, and there's all these rooms, and you're in the middle of it. Okay, so if somebody walked into my brain right now, most people think, "Boy, I would never want to be in your brain." But if you walked into my brain, you would see there's very calm in the middle. Out in within the perimeter, I have all the rooms of my thoughts that are put in those rooms so I can go back and forth to them. These are the things that you work through, or the things you haven't worked through that you're going to continue to work through. But to be able to center your mind, to have that peace within that center, which is what Het-Heru was talking about, that peace within the brain. And it's also about using your imagination. What is your imagination for? It is for you to think and to conceptualize how you want to be. See, and what you want. Do you want peace? Do you want craziness? Do you want joy? Do you want faith? Part of this is also, how do you get, one of the ways to get it centered is by using these essential oils. They can put you, and I'm guaranteeing you this, I've been using for 15 years. Just the smell, each smell can produce a different concept in your brain, whether or not it's relaxing, having faith, better communication. Okay, these are the things that can open up with practice. And we're going to be going down the road, and we're going to be having this thing on how to reset the body through these essential oils. It's all a process. It's a puzzle. And this is all part of that puzzle. And that's why we have Het-Heru here, because she not only has the concept of the intuitiveness, but also the organization of her life and the creation of these tools that's been given to her, including these essential oils. Okay, so it's not just a mental, a spiritual, but it's also a physical thing that's being brought in. It's like the puzzle. So with the time left, we've got about 5 minutes here. You go ahead and finish those steps, and then your final thoughts. I'll come back to you.
Okay. Well, the last step of that 8 path is called samadhi. So I learned years later, talking to another yoga teacher and sharing that experience I had standing on my head and falling asleep. And he says to me, "Well, you know what happened?" I said, "It's a mystery." He said, "You went into samadhi." And that's the goal that we have in this thing called yoga, is that we want to, samadhi is when there's no separation between you and the divine. Now, all I can say is from that experience, my life did change. I was no longer the same person from that experience. My desire to learn more about myself from a spiritual understanding enhanced, and my teaching developed. I was able to share more of this information. So I just want people to understand that you can do anything. I no longer teach hatha yoga asanas, postures. What I do is what Michael's been sharing with you. I have channeled a line of essential oil blends that help to balance the spiritual centers known as the chakras through the power of the olfactory nerve. Because the olfactory nerve, the sense of smell, is connected to memory. No matter what we're going through, there is a memory within us all of the divine. That we and this planet that's becoming sacred, that's in the process of becoming sacred, in truth are one. And that is what we work toward, that anything that we're doing, whether it's in dance, I do the yoga of dance, the yoga of aromatherapy, the yoga of song. Yoga is the understanding that you and the divine are one, however, that you are the one that's in direction of your life.
I just scrolled to give you a little look at her website. It's again, I want you to go to that. There's not just about essential oils, but there's bath products and um, oils, other kind of different oils, and there's all kinds of other information if you want to get a hold of her. It's info at heru.com. And I have one little quick question is how long did it take you to get on your head? Now, I I can do a reverse plow, but that's about as best as I can get there. So I'm just want to give because most people are not going to go. I'm going to stand on my head. What's a beginning type of thing here just to get started?
You have to remember, I studied with the first lady of yoga, who in her discipline would have to stand on her head for a half hour. It is a matter of who your teacher is. My teacher was a great teacher, and I learned a lot from her. So the technique that she shared with her students, her student teachers, it was easy to get folks up. At the beginning, um, we might use the assistance of the wall, but it's all the headstand basically is a matter of balance. Your arms are positioned like a tripod, and you are finding that sense of balance as you go up. As I said, she was such an incredible teacher that her techniques, like her way of teaching people how to do proper breathing, was something in all the years I've been teaching, I've never seen anybody have a technique like that. It makes it so easy and so clear. And I was very, very fortunate that I was able to spend time with her and learn what I learned, including teaching people how to stand on their
Well, you got me beat there, lady. I can tell you that. You know,
head.
listen. As we close, I just want to just thank you for coming in here,
Oh,
Hetero.
it's
I
my
want to thank
pleasure.
everyone for coming in. We're so excited about the future here. We're going to be uh, bringing you opportunity here to change your life. And again, we are challenging you. This is not in the norm. Um, we're we're certainly not this heavy news agency or a sports program. They don't want you have to find us, and if you do, you consider yourself a very fortunate person to have met this lady who has been around for decades and doing her things. Thank you so much, Heather.
My
I really
pleasure. My
appreciate you.
pleasure.
And we'll see y'all here next
Take
week.
care, everybody.
You know, in this time of our lives, if you've stuck around here to the end here, this is about the challenge. In P90X, one of the most difficult ones is called the challenge. And I believe we're in this age of the challenge where you can find yourself or you can lose yourself. You can be caught up in a whirlpool of everything that's around you. I've always said, if you want to describe me, I'm when peace within chaos. That is the challenge, is how to have peace within all this chaos and to be able to find a fine line where you can laugh, love, cry, but support yourself within and support others. So again, please follow me on TikTok. Head on with Michael. We're almost there at 1,000 subscribers. If you want to get over there, we've got 6,000 here, but I need to get to 1,000 there, and I only need 45. And then when after that, we're gonna be going live over there, and I'm gonna be having some samples. We're gonna get you can win a sample of one of her essential oils. So carry on, everybody. I will see you on the next